Welcome back, guys, to the Coins and Connections podcast. This is your girl, Cinquanta Cox-Smith, and we are going to continue to explore all things books, business, and bullshit. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 36. In this episode, I am chatting with my sister as we talk about our time in the Army. We went to the Army about 15 years apart. We are 5 years apart, and this is not only a funny episode, but a very informative episode because I get to share my story as a active duty soldier, as a veteran, and as a military spouse. So if you fall into any of these categories or you are thinking about joining any of the military branches, this episode may give you some insight into what to expect and also a look at how differently things have changed in the Army from the time that I went in and she also enlisted. Currently, my husband is an active duty Army drill sergeant. We are here at Fort Lee. So shout out to all my Fort Lee spouses out there and everyone who has children's, husbands, cousins, aunties, uncles who are serving in the United States military. Again, thank you for your service and thank you for being a strong backbone for your family. And I wish you all the best in your journey. So I get asked a lot, how did you start your podcast? Where do I begin? How can I start a podcast? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. You know, I'm down with the free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like, ain't nobody listening yet and you making money. How dope is that? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting on? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, so I am back and I am here with my sister. So we're going to first talk about our basic training experience. So I went to basic training in June of 2005 and I went to Fort Jackson.
And I went in May 2016 and I also went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
So when I first went in, the uniform was BDUs and we had the black boots that we had to shine. It's like the only uniform that most people recognize the Army by, and I had the chance to shine my shoes.
And when I came in May 2016, we had the OCP pattern, which is now actually still out as of now until they decide to change it again. And that's like dark green with like black and a little light brown in it. So you didn't even get to wear ACUs? No, when I came in, they issued me OCPs.
Okay, so I had a chance to wear deserts, which is like the brownish camo looking uniforms, and I was also fortunate enough to wear ACUs throughout my time in the Army. So when you join the Army, you get shipped to basic training by bus, van, plane, depending on how far the location is from your local MEPS. So because we were both from South Carolina, did you leave from Georgia?
I left from Georgia, so
okay.
I was on a van, like a minivan with like 5 other people to go to basic training from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, so yeah, I went on a van as well from Georgetown, South Carolina, to Columbia. You go through a whole MEPS process again, which is MEPS is always a long process. And then you get shipped to reception. And reception is the place where they kind of hold you before they process you to go to your actual unit at basic training. So I stayed in reception for like a week because they needed to get the National Guard out. Most of them were like sophomores, not sophomores, maybe juniors in high school, and they had to go through basic training in time to come back for school to start in August.
Yeah, same for me. Reception was actually a week long as well, to get issued your uniforms and all that. And also, when it became, like, closer to the end of the week, they actually had to make sure the National Guard get out as well because they have to be back to their units at a certain time when basic training is over. Versus active duty, we got time on our hands.
Yeah. So do you remember it being super hot?
Yes.
So, like, they have, like, heat cats. And I don't know, did y'all get to dress y'all blouse?
Yeah.
Boots and stuff?
Fold
and
up our jackets and our pants. Heat cat 5.
Yeah.
Heat cat 5.
Most of the time, by the time it was like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, it was heat cat 5, and we would like roll up our sleeves on our jackets and on our pants. A funny story is right before they shipped us to our unit from reception, they would always say, take a knee and be like, drink water. So we would be filling up our canteens with water, and every time they say drink, we had to drink all the water in the canteen. And how big is it? I forgot.
I don't remember the size.
I don't know how. It's a good amount of water in that canteen. Google our Army canteen, so you can see the size of it. And they would come by and make us tip it over to make sure it was empty. So just imagine you were sitting there for an hour and you had to go through like 3 canteens of water, and then we got on bus. They was rushing us. We had these big duffel bags on our back. When we got to our unit, they was like, put your face in your bag. Don't look at me, private. Yelling, and you had to get off the bus. It ended up raining the day that I went to my actual unit for basic training. And we were running off the bus. It was raining. People were falling. They were yelling. And when I tell y'all, when I heard people next to me asking to go to the restroom and the way they was yelling at them, I was like, I'm not fitting to ask to go to the bathroom. But I had to pee so bad. So guess what your girl did? I sat there. I was like, I'm already wet from the rain. So I'm just going to tankle. I know they had to let us wash off after that. We were all soaking wet. So that is one embarrassing moment about me that y'all going to learn today, that I pissed my pants because at that point I didn't know what else to do.
Funny story about the rain. It seemed like every time in basic training, when it's raining, you gotta pee. Rain makes you just have to pee. So we were on the actual ruck march, and you had the porta johns, which is like the portable restrooms for people who don't know. And we're walking, and I'm like, well, why we can't stop at the porta johns to use the bathroom? They was like, no, you can't stop. We gotta keep going. So I'm like, oh God. So we walking up this hill. It started raining. I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to just have to pee myself. Y'all, I was wet with rain and pee for another 10 minutes until we got back to where we were supposed to be so I could freshen up and get right. But,
man, that's some good memories. But I can say that I truly enjoyed basic training, throwing grenades and the range. Also, we did this obstacle course. Did y'all do the obstacle course?
Yeah, we did
that was super fun. And excited, and ruck marches were good. Live fire. If you don't know any of these terms, go ahead and Google that or ask someone who who is in the Army. And we had to make sure we actually use the latrine. So it wasn't the restroom or the bathroom. It was the latrine. So you had to say that, or they'd be looking at you. Then the mess hall at the DFAC. It was like you had to eat so fast. Literally. But also, when I went in, I couldn't take a cell phone.
Oh, yeah. And in reception, we actually had our phones. And we could take them with us when we were doing business. We just couldn't pull them out, but we can have them. And then in basic training, we got calls probably once a month. Well, my platoon, we were so good that he would just call us up. And we can get calls almost every other week, about 15 minutes. We won the drill and ceremony competition, so we were able to actually talk on the phone for an hour and a half. I had to call the whole city up.
Yeah, and I was in 2005, we were using pay phones and calling cards to call our families. And it would be a few minutes at a time. I also got yelled at once because my battle buddies weren't really good at looking out for me when I was sneaking on the phone. And I got everybody in the bay smoked. And no one was really mad at me. But I was just like, they try to break you in basic training. But And then also when we did combatives, I got a chance to slam a guy, and then I actually got some cool points with the drill sergeants. And then I don't know what he gave our bay that night, but he was like, because of Cox, I ain't gonna smoke y'all asses. So
combatives was always funny, especially when they let you call out somebody that you don't like.
Oh yes.
You get out there and you can work them faithfully and not get in trouble with it. So, yeah. And my drill sergeant, he knew that it was this one girl that nobody liked. And he called her out. He said, you know what? I know you don't like her. How about y'all two get out here? I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Did y'all do bayonets too?
No.
Really? Oh, so that's like with the sword at the end. And we did that. Did y'all take a CPR class?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. I guess we gonna die.
So, see, there's such a big difference in the gap in the time that we went, being it was, 10-year gap?
10, 11 years.
From the times that we went. So, there was so much that has changed in between that. But all in all, did you really enjoy it, or was it hard?
No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, at certain points when you first start doing stuff, you're like, wow, this is hard. But, once it's done, it's like, wow, I did that. I can't believe I did it. And it's an experience that you won't get nowhere else, honestly.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about joining the military and you're just looking for a new experience, I say go for it. Any branch, that's up to you, whatever your preference is. And then now we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about our AIT experience. I'm so thankful for Anchor, and if you're listening to this, you should be thankful for Anchor too. If you want to be a podcast or start your own podcast, Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and it's ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast, because nobody want a podcast for free. But you can go to anchor.fm/start to join me and thousands of other podcasters so you can get this shmoney too. All right, so you guys are going to notice that there's a lot of similarities in our stories, because we both went to Fort Jackson for basic training. And then also in AIT, we both came to Fort Lee, Virginia, where me and my husband and my family are actually stationed at right now. So to me, it was like, coming back home to where I had, some great memories with my battle buddies. So when I got to AIT, my MOS was a 92 Yankee, which is supply specialist.
And mine is a 91 Papa, which is a artillery mechanic.
Okay, and I was quartermaster, and quarter is ordnance. Before, ordnance was at Fort Jackson, and I don't remember,
Lee.
No, it was at Fort Jackson, because my husband is ordnance, and he had his AIT in Fort Jackson. So I don't know exactly when the shift changed, because he also went to basic training, he went in basic and AIT in 2006. So somewhere in between there, the change happened. If any of you guys know, let me know. But when I got to AIT, that's when I realized that things were more relaxed. At first, I still did not have a phone. But maybe a week or so in, my parents mailed me a cell phone, and we had pay phones in our bays at our units. And this was a question I didn't ask before, but in our AIT, we had open bays with 60 other females, open showers, no curtains, and the bathroom stalls, it was maybe a few of them.
When I went, my building was actually 4 floors. The first floor was all females. We were 3 to a room, actually, and had separate keys, so way more privacy, with also a bathroom in the room with 3 separate closets. So that's a big difference.
Yeah. So just imagine, also in basic training, we had open bays. Y'all still had open bays in basic. So just imagine you just meeting all these females, and you're butt ass nigga.
For the second
everybody
go
gotta take a shower together. Sometimes I got smart about making sure I got in there super early or going there super late when most of the people have already showered. Just waking up early or going to bed a little bit later to do that. But we also had to make sure we cleaned the restrooms and stuff like that. When I got here, we had to earn our first off-post pass. And while I was here, we actually had overnight passes.
With my job being 14 weeks versus people that was there for 6 weeks, after 2 weeks in a PT test that you have to pass, then you can go off post. But if you don't pass it, then good luck. You're just going to stay on post in uniform.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still a little freedom, but it's not as much as everybody else can get.
But y'all didn't have overnight, or did
if
y'all?
you stayed over 14 weeks,
Okay.
you wouldn't even be in my company. You would be in a different one.
Okay.
But you can definitely get, like, overnights and weekends. But
Yeah.
we had, like, basically the whole weekend, like, from 6 to 6 on Saturdays and Sundays, so.
Yeah, so like the first time we went off, we had to be in our class A's, and that's what they were called because they were green at the time.
And ours is dress blues, which is blue, the blue jacket, the white shirt, the blue pants, or the blue skirt.
Yeah, so we definitely a lot of years in between, and you can see the different changes. I still have my class A's. I don't own any of my uniforms that I had or PTs.
That changed too.
Yeah, the PT uniform did change from like we had like gray shirts with black writing and like black pants with like this reflective army on the pants, and now it's black and gold, both uniforms. Quetta just, you want to tell?
Yeah, I just finished my contract up actually about 2 weeks ago. I feel amazing. The Army, it is what you make it, honestly. And it could depend on where you go.
Yeah.
But I think I am just more of a school person, and the military isn't for me. But the experience was worth it. Went out of the country twice in 3.5 years, which is a lot of people don't even do that. So
I didn't.
I was actually unfortunate to do that. So honestly, I met a lot of people, and when you when you're military friends, they are lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody tell you nothing else, and that's the truth. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed my experience, and now on to a new chapter.
That is definitely true because it's like 15, 16 years later, and last week one of my battle buddies from AIT called me, and we kind of keep up with each other. I'm not even gonna say we probably talk maybe once a year and just get in a good conversation for maybe an hour. But a lot of my battle buddies and I are friends on Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes we WhatsApp message. So you do meet lifelong friends. And now being on the military spouse side, for the first time we've started to be stationed at different locations with people we've known from previous duty stations. And that sometimes never happens. Sometimes you meet somebody and you never see them again, but only have that connection via phone, or you meet up to do something. But my first duty station after I left AIT was Fort Drum, New York. And the funniest thing about that was because we were like, yes, we are going to New York. And we also had to think about, we were thinking big city, lights, fun. And back then, nobody was really Googling. We really didn't have Facebook. MySpace was all the rave. So we weren't researching. We just knew we were going to New York. And when we got there, we realized that we were in the middle of nowhere. So now you guys have more access to look these places up and see what there is to offer instead of like going into a situation blind. Because if I knew that's what New York, Fort Drum had to offer, I would have tried to not put that at the top of my list.
Right, and my first duty station was Fort Bliss, Texas, which is in El Paso, Texas, literally by the border. So you can only imagine what El Paso is full of Mexicans. No love lost. I love Mexicans. I love everybody. But when you get there, you would think, like, this is really the desert. Like, it's nothing here. But honestly, it is a big city. When you explore it, it's really a lot to do. People think it's not a lot to do, but it's actually a lot to do. So.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that. I always say, they're like, oh my gosh, you like Fort Riley? I was like, I enjoy Kansas because Kansas, not only was the Post family friendly, there were a lot of things to do, and we were close to a lot of things. We were close to Oklahoma City, Kansas City. You could go to Arkansas. So there was a lot to do. St. Louis. So always, for any military spouse that's listening, just don't be like, oh my gosh, we got to go there. Just think of it as a new adventure, and you probably would have never visited that location ever in your life. Find your favorite places to eat, dessert places and parks and stuff, museums for your kids, and just make the best of it, of the experience, because you will have to live there at least a year.
Another thing about being at Fort Bliss in El Paso, people think, oh, you're in Texas, you're close to Dallas, Houston, Austin. Let me be honest with you. That's an 8-hour to 10-hour drive to each place. Only thing that we were close to was Alamogordo, which is actually an Air Force base out there. We were close to New Mexico, so we can go to like the different lakes every now and then on the 4 days. But as far as leaving out El Paso, if you want to drive 8 to 10 hours, you know, you're going to have to fly out. And the flights are not cheap because it's a military city and it's not a lot of people that live there. So just expect to pay some money when you want to fly out of El Paso.
Yeah.
The only downfall for me.
So far, I hope you guys are being able to just learn a few things about our experience from basic training, AIT, and our first duty station. Again, like I say, I have the experience to talk on it from being an active duty soldier, being a veteran, and being a military spouse. So if you have any questions about just how to navigate through military life, feel free to inbox me or ask me any questions, and I can help you out. You guys can follow my sister Cinquanta on Instagram at CC. She used to be Smiley Quetta, but she went and changed on me. But I hope you guys were able to just get to know us a little better, and then also just learn more about the Army. So I hope you guys make sure you leave a review. Don't forget to share this episode with your military friends. And make sure you come back next week for another episode. Thank you, guys. This company makes dope-ass tees, sweatshirts, and accessories for all the love and fly girls and hot boys. Use code 90scoins for 15% off at itsaflashback.com. That's itsaflashback.com. All right, so now we have our parents joining us, Terry and Glenda, and I wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel about having two daughters who served in the United States Army?
I feel pretty good about having both girls serve in the Army. When my oldest one said that she was joining, I was like, you joining the Army? It all happened so fast, but the transition, everything just went smoothly. When my youngest daughter decided she gonna go in the military, I was like, huh? She was like a scary cat thinking about the war. But for some reason, all of a sudden she decided, I'm going in the military. I was like, okay. She went in, she served, she did her shit.
And she deployed.
She did get to go some places she probably would never really go. Mm-hmm. I know one thing, they had 3 meals a day. They had a paycheck coming in twice a month. I'm just happy that they served the United States of America. Thank y'all for all you done.
All right, Daddy.
Well, I'm very proud of both of them. When I was in high school and about to graduate, I decided I wanted to go in the Army myself, and I took the test for the Air Force, and I didn't score high enough for the Air Force. So the guy asked me, say, well, you want to go in the Army? I said, no, my heart was set on the Air Force, so I didn't go in the Army. So and I felt bad afterwards. So when my daughters joined the Army, I felt a little better. I said, well, now I didn't get a chance to go, but now they get a chance to go, so they can see what it is to serve in the United States Army and to serve their country well. So I would say I was very proud of both of them, and it's a big achievement for both of them. So I'm a very proud father.
Awesome. So thank you guys for just coming on and giving your 2 cents and some input about this topic. And we love you guys.
Love you too.
We love you too.
Thank you guys so much for listening and subscribing. Don't forget to share and leave a review for this podcast. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@cinquantacoxsmith.com. You can follow me on Instagram at cinquantacoxsmith and at coinsandconnections.com. My websites are www.cinquantacoxsmith.com and www.coinsandconnections.com. You can join my Facebook group at Books Plus Business with Cinquanta Cox-Smith. I love you more than I love this podcast. Peace.